Right. So, as part of the World IP Day celebrations, we are here today to learn all about the IP rights in the innovation ecosystem. The 2 hour session will include a live demonstration of prior art search and an overview of the patent filing process, which will be followed by a question and answer session. So, I'm very glad that today we are joined by Dr. Malti and Mr. Pulkit. So, brief introduction about Dr. Malti Lakshmi Kumaran. She has more than 30 years of experience in the field of biochemistry and molecular biology with an expertise in plant genomics, DNA fingerprinting, and genetic transformation. She has successfully supervised several PhD students in the area of plant molecular biology. She has more than 100 publications to her credit in various international and Indian journals. And we have Mr. Pulkit, who is a joint partner of IBR. He has done his LLB from Faculty of Law, Delhi University, and BTech Mechanical from Himachal Pradesh University. He is also registered as an advocate with the Bar Council of Delhi. Mr. Pulkit started his career with LNS in 2000, and since then he has gone from strength to strength in acquiring expertise and skills in IP law. Pulkit handles patent as well as trademarks in the firm. So, we are glad to have you on board, Dr. Malti and Mr. Pulkit, and a special shout out to CPAM for helping us organize this exclusive IPR workshop. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. And I'm very happy that we are having this workshop during this week, which is known as a World IP Day. And it is celebrated on April 26th. But it's very nice that Niti Ayog is doing this for 3 days. And thanks very much for inviting us to give a talk to teachers, students. We do a lot of talks within the firm, outside, because IP awareness is required quite a bit. And that is where we are going to start with and look at it, how it will happen. What I would like to tell is everybody knows about intellectual property. So there can be intellectual property um, of many different types that we can have. And I just want to give some example. So can you all see this bottle here? This is bottle from Mother Dairy. Can you all see that? And
Yes,
please be
ma'am.
interactive. You can talk or we send on chat. And so, like when you see here, you get this bottle. And so this bottle will have a lot of intellectual property in it. One, you will see here Mother Dairy, it is written here. And when you see Mother Dairy here, this is the trademark that you have. The shape of the bottle that you have. And so when you have the shape of the bottle, you can get for the design pattern. What is written on this, you will get for the copyright. And if this milk or this lassi, mango lassi, has some new microorganisms like lactobacillus, which is very good. Like all of us go and take Yakult because the microorganism in that Yakult is good. So if you have a new microorganism, you can get a patent for that microorganism as well. So every time that you think of any item that you pick up, like let's say it's a Bisleri bottle, or you take up a Coca-Cola bottle, a child who cannot even read and write will say, "Give me Coke." Just from the shape of the bottle, the color code. So here, if you see in Mother Dairy, the color code is very important as we do. So from a bottle like this, we can go and get several intellectual property. Now, we are in the time of COVID and everybody is having nasal problems and so on. So people use a lot of these type of drops either for the nose and you can do it. So where is this? You get the shape of the bottle. But if you go and look inside the medicine, you can get a patent for the medicine. You can get for the way that if you press, you will get this um, nasal spray coming out. So you can get a patent for this spray itself. And so people have got intellectual property is not just one thing. It can be for the design of the bottle. And if I go closer, you will see that there is a trademark for it. You can also get for the medicines in that. And today people are saying, oh, there is corona, we have remdesivir. Remdesivir is a patented drug by Gilead, and they were using it for other viruses like Ebola. But today we can repurpose it for corona. So today we will look at things like this and see what is a patent, and we're going to do more focus on patent. But being the first talk, you have other talks on second and third day. But I thought that intellectual property is just not patents. It can be trademark, it can be copyright, it can be patent, it can be plant variety protection. There's also something called trade secret. When I say trade secret, what I mean is you have Coca-Cola. Now the formula in it to make the Coca-Cola is kept as a trade secret. So a lot of things that we can keep as trade secrets. So remember, these are all different types of intellectual wealth or intellectual property that we call. So I will now be sharing the slides to just give a brief introduction on, yes, can you all see the slides?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So here we have, yeah. So this is where it is. We are going to do an introduction to patents, basics, and we're going to do a prior art search. I'm Malti Lakshmi Kumaran. I've been a scientist for 25 years, but last 17 years, I've been in the field of intellectual property. I work mainly in the life science and biotech. Pulkit Dogar is an engineer, he's an advocate, and he does a lot of work on patents and trademark, and he will be doing the search part of the talk today. Today we have agenda is what different types of IPRs, what is a trademark protection, industrial design protection, what are the criteria for patenting. If we have time, we will go for non-patentable subject matter. Otherwise, we will shift into prior art searches and also a demonstration of the prior art searches. So as I told you, intellectual property is not just one thing. It is patents, it is designs, it is trademark, copyright, trade secret, and so on. So let us quickly dwell, but today our main focus will be on patents. And if you just look at this, I'm sorry, 1 minute. So if you look at this phone, you have the patent which will have the chips, the software, how it works, and all the codes inside could be a copyright code. You have the design, the feel and look of how this. So if you have a phone, how it looks like, you can get the feel of the design shape. It's not giving you any property as such, but it gives you a design, and that could be intellectual property. If you look at the Apple logo, it is the trademark. So looking at all this, and there'll be some trade secrets inside as well, and so on. So if you look at the big fight that Apple and Samsung had, it was on the design. The design, it could be the back design, having a camera here, the logo, the design is also very important. And these are called as GUIs, which I will not talk today. But I want to know that any product that I have, like a phone, can also have several intellectual property in it. Let us look at what these different types are and just give some basics on it. What do I mean by that? When it is an invention or an idea, we protect it under a patent. So this is called as intellectual property. So let me just give you an example. We have iron ore in the earth. That is, cannot be intellectual property. Nobody can own it because it has been made by nature. But inventors can produce new way of making the iron ore, from the iron ore to make iron. Today we all know that we have this thing called as rare earth metals. Rare earth metals are used in several things, including the lithium batteries, phones, and so on. But how to produce this? So nobody can get a product for the rare earth, but you can get the process patent for making rare earth from the ores. And that is where you should differentiate. And the application of rare earths in a lithium ion battery is another invention. So the rare earth as such cannot get a patent. Iron as such cannot get a patent because it will fall under discovery. but a method of producing iron from iron ore, the method of producing rare earth from the ores, that method is patentable. The use of iron in making tools, in making devices, that can be patentable. So that is where patents are for inventions, and this is an intellectual wealth. It's an intellectual property, just like you have a house property. This is an intellectual property. Now, when you come to copyright, it's an expression of an idea. Now, when people have notebooks, your NCRT books, or any of the story books that you have, those are copyrighted. If you have a Hussein painting, that is copyrighted. Somebody comes out, an artist, and makes a drawing, makes a painting. The painting as such is copyrighted. Let's take about Ramayana. Ramayana was written long time back, but people have written versions of it. That copyright, it's not for the Ramayana story, but it is the expression. Rajaji first wrote several books on Ramayana. It is the expression of his idea of how he's understood Ramayana, and he's putting it in his words. So that's an expression of an idea. And remember, copyright. Every time you write an essay, every time you come up with a story, that is a copyright. Or a nice painting, that is a copyright. Codings can be under copyright. You have designs. As I told you, when we have designs, correct? So it could be a design like this, or you can have designs which are nasal sprays. You can get designs for the shape of the bottle, and these are also very important. They are not about any function, but the aesthetic value of how this design looks. Everybody knows about trademark, right? Everyone, any a child will say this is Coca-Cola. And so to give you an example, if you see this, you say thermos. When you say thermos, that's a trademark. And so trademarks are very useful because once I get a trademark, nobody else can use. When you say surf, because you will say, oh, Surf is a good brand. It does not matter what is inside, but I have a trademark for this. If you see our logo, LNS, Lakshmi Kumaran Sridharan, this is our trademark. Trade secrets are perpetual. Why do they perpetual? Trademarks are perpetual. Because when I have the Coca-Cola, what is a formula, it's perpetual unless and until somebody breaks it. Somebody copies exactly and finds it out. Till then, it is a trademark. Till then, it is a trade secret. But for designs, we have only 10 years, and for copyright, it is 50 plus years. But for patent, your term of protection is 20 years. Why do we have these patents? Why should we have patents? The patents is you can create so many things in the lab. You do research and development, like people are coming up with new vaccines for corona, these are new methods to detect coronavirus. So those are the research R&D development that we are doing, and then you're protected by IP protection. So the IP protection, as I told you, it can be by patent, trademark, copyright, and so on. Now that patent, if you commercialize it, you make revenue out of it, you then put it back into R&D and create more. So this is what we call as the IPR life circle. And it's important to not have a patent and just let it lie there, and it's not worth it. You need to commercialize your inventions. And that is where we will be giving a lot of focus on. Now, IPR, it is a right. It could be an exclusive right over creation of one's intellect. In a patent, it is a negative right, but in others, it can be a positive right. So I'm going to talk more about patents. It can be bought and sold, licensed, inherited, and so on. But a patent is under a legal instrument. So it is only valid in the jurisdiction it is granted. So if I have a patent in India, it's valid only in India. There's nothing like a world patent or world trademark, nothing. Because it is a legal method of protecting your intellectual property, you can get protection only in the country in which you have got the protection. Like I told you about trademark, it can be represented graphically and is capable of distinguishing goods and services of persons from one from another. You can have a word trademark like Apple, Samsung. These are word trademarks. You can also get a logo. Everybody knows what the Apple logo looks like. You can have for a device a label, a logo, or a font. So this is how a Samsung logo looks like. You can get Audi, you can Marriott, Samsung, and so on. Or it can be just a letter like GE or here W. So these are different types of trademark examples. It can be a ticket like Wrangler, Levi's, or it can be names. Names like Mahendra Singh Dhoni, Amitabh Bachchan, Baba Ramdev. These are names which can also be trademark protected. You have signatures like Amitabh Bachchan's signature. That is also a trademark example. Trademark examples can also be like a packaging, like this chocolate that you have, Ferrero Rocher. It's a way it is packaged. Golden crushed wrapper with a brown fluted cupcake holder with lines. This whole thing itself is can get trademark protection. A combination of colors. Everybody knows about this Cadbury's, how it looks. The purple color with a white name on it. The minute you see it, you'll say, ah, that's Cadbury's. And nobody else can copy it. So you get protection for the trademark. Colgate, red and white packaging. Industrial designs is the aesthetic value, how it looks, how the design feels like. It doesn't have any functional value, but what looks for the eye. And that is where you get, these are the different types of industrial design patterns that we call. There's some countries call it as design pattern, some call it as design as an IP. So it is a shape like Toblerone, everybody knows. It is triangle, and you look at the shape of the chocolate, it is like a triangle. So you can get for the shape of the goods. You can get even for 3D shapes that you can give. As I told you, like in the Apple watch that I showed you, it can be for the design, it can be for the way the camera is inserted in a phone and so on. But now on, I'll be talking about patent. A patent is a solution to a problem, right? As I told you, trademark designs, they're more aesthetic and they need a brand value. So anybody who says Cadbury's, it immediately gives you a brand. When you say Surf, it gives you a brand. We don't know what is inside it, correct? Or when you say thermos flask, it's got a brand to it. But a patent is a intellectual property on an innovation, on an invention. And whenever you want an invention, remember that you need to get it has to be a problem solution. That is, there is a problem and I need to find a solution. Today, Corona is a big problem, coronavirus, COVID-19. I need to find drugs to treat it. I need to find vaccines for prophylactic use so that I protect myself. I need to find good cough syrups to me. Those are a problem is coronavirus, and a solution to that to treat it is the patent for it. So like remdesivir, everybody is talking about remdesivir so much. Tocilizumab. Why? Because remdesivir, people think it can help you when you become serious. And that drug is solving a problem. And so in patent, remember, we have a problem and we're trying to find a solution. There are several such solutions that people can find out. You have coconut, how to break a coconut. People have found out ways of how you can break that coconut. And so this problem solution approach is very much needed for protecting your inventions. So in a situation, it could be in engineering, how to tailor a device and so on. If someone devises a way of solving a problem, his inventive step will be that solution, but not the goal itself or the general method of achieving it. For example, I have a chair. Everybody has a chair, but I found a new way of applying a rock to a chair. So this is how in a patent, remember, it is a problem solution. There's an invention. The invention is solving a problem. So if I have a nasal spray, this solution inside is solving a problem of having, taking off congestion, or allergic reaction if I have, or corona I have, and I would like to have sprays. Like today, people are hearing about nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is very well known, but use of nitric oxide for killing the virus, use of nitric oxide for killing a bacteria. So the problem is there that you want to kill the bacteria in the nose, and now nitric oxide can be used, or I have a chemical which comes into a bottle and that can be used to solve a problem. So always, but to get a patent, I said it so easily, but to get a patent, we need three different criteria. There are more, but for today, I will just be on three. One, the invention has to be novel. I mean, if somebody else has done, you can't copy it. You can't say, oh, it is made in China, it is made in US, I'm making it in India. No. The invention has to be novel worldwide. And that is very important. And if somebody has published such a invention, even in the form of a diagram, that can be novelty destroying. So first thing, it has to be novel. That is, it has to be distinct, and nobody should have come to such a solution before. It includes an inventive step. That is, it must not only be novel, but it was not so evident for a person skilled in the art to come to such an invention. And that is why you have a technical advancement, or it should be economically significant. What do I mean by economically significant? It is much cheaper to do it, it is growing faster, and so on. We've had lots of types of batteries, but now we have lithium ion batteries. Can I have lithium ion battery? Can we have another fuel cell batteries? And those are different types of invention. Can I come up with a lithium ion battery which is cheaper? Can I come with a lithium ion battery which is weighs lesser, because I can use it in electric vehicles and so on. So, and the third is industrial application. So all of you remember, what are the three most important criteria? Novelty, it must include inventive step, and it must be industrially applicable. It must have some industrial use or capable of industrial application. That is, it must have utility. It must have a use. So if I come out with a medicine, that medicine must do something. Just to have a chemical will not work. Then what I meant by inventive step, oh, somebody used sodium chloride. The other person says, I'll use potassium chloride. No, no, no. It is very, hello, what happened? Can you all see or no, na?
You have to
I can
share
see your
your
video,
screen,
man.
ma'am.
No, no, I don't know what happened. Share content. 1 minute. Can you all see it now?
Yes, ma'am.
I think my hand must have fallen. I mean, I might have touched it by mistake. So this is where it is. So inventive step is little difficult, but we will try to avoid it today. But generally, inventive step means a person skilled in the art should not have understood. So let me say I have a chemical which is a polymer which I put in paint. For the paint industry, that may be novel. But if I use that paint, that polymer, and I'm using it as agriculture for killing insects, then it is not. It is having an inventive step, because these are two different industries that I have used it for. There can be patents and inventions can be simple ideas. Don't think it has to be a Nobel Prize winning innovations. No, it can be very, very simple idea. We say jugaad in Hindi. So everyone, Indians, were very creative, but we don't know we are creating. And as I told you, there's nutcracker, coconut cracker. Every day we are creating, but we don't go and apply for intellectual property. That is a big thing that we are, and that is why we are doing this talk, to tell you the value of innovations. It could be a small thing like a paperclip. That can be a pattern. A straw to drink water or juice. Post-it. That post-it is a nice story that I'd like to tell you. Post-it, this inventor was trying to make a gum, but every time he would put the gum, the post-it note would come off. And he got quite upset. He said, what is this? Every time I'm trying to. So his invention was to make a very good gum. But every time he would put it, he would come off. And then he threw all these papers in the dustbin. Somebody else came in and said, "Oh, that's a very nice idea because I have a gum. However, it can be taken off, it can be put stuck. Take it off, stop." And with that came, and it can be like a marker. And so a failed idea can also be converted into a huge innovation. So even though he didn't get a good gum, but it suddenly struck him, oh, why don't I make post-its? But then, people, some other person can come and give ideas. So remember, even a failed invention can come out with good innovations, and you have to use it properly. So a gum which will not stick properly, it comes out to be posted. Also, you know about Velcro. Velcro is just two of them, they stick together and you can take it off and you can stick it. How did one of the inventors, they say, oh, I have this sheep here, and this is the seed which goes and binds on the wool of the sheep, but I can take it up, I put it back, it goes and binds. And he looked under the microscope and he said, oh, it's got these tentacles, and the tentacles open and they open and they close, and that gave the idea of Velcro. Like this, I have a lot of stories to tell you, people, but I don't want to waste too much time on that. But I would like to give you the value of these patterns that they have. It can also be like things like data entry, as I showed you, or orientation. Like I change my phone and the whole orientation goes off. So the phones will have chips, will have softwares to do a lot of things. Or something like an umbrella, which can also be converted into a carry bag. So remember, what is this? What am I trying to tell in this slide? What I'm trying to tell is it could be simple innovations, simple inventions, which can come to good intellectual property, good patents, which can also be commercialized. I also give this idea of razor and blade strategy. So you have this blade. So they decided, why don't we have for the whole blade and the stick together? And that is how it came up. They came up with a modular and integral design, which is interlocking patterns. After the expiry of the main patent, you started having these razors at throwaway price. But what was the value, the premium was the blade. Because every time you have to buy the blade, and so every time you keep changing the blade, you keep improving the blade, nobody is worried about the stick, razor. But what gives you value is the blade. So every time you think of an innovation, you need to think. So let us look at an air purifier. You want to get for the whole air purifier, but you have these different types of filters. And each filter, you should get a patent for the filters. You come up with new filters and you can get a patent. You don't have to come up with a whole air purifier, but my patent is for the purifier, the filters, because the filters will have to be changed. The box doesn't need to be changed, but the filters will change. So your innovations lies in the filters. And that's how you have to think of these strategy as razor and blade strategy. People always say, oh, chair. Yeah, it's a sample chair. What is this chair? There are different types of chairs. And how would I write a claim for a chair? I would say a chair, it has a seat for supporting the body of a person. It will have legs to support the seat. And it will have a backrest for providing back support to the person. This is how a chair is. So you'll say, so what? But don't think that chair, one innovation, and that's the end of it. No. So I have a simple chair. Okay, it has four legs and it has a backrest. So also the second one, it has four legs, it has a backrest. All of them have to have a seat because it's a chair. But why is the second one an innovation? Because somebody came up and said, oh, I can rock. I can rock the chair. And that rocking the chair this is a separate invention from the first. So don't think that there's a patent one and everything has expired. No, I can always do such that I can do from one to another. Now, the third, this is modular chair because I have to have hundreds of chairs. When you see in the weddings and all that, one chair, stacked over another. So you have these modular chairs which are light, plastic, and they have a modular design, and also they are very useful as plastic soft. So this is again another innovation. The fourth one, which you see, I don't have space in my house. I don't have space in my office. And so I have a chair which can fold. And so this innovation, this also has four legs. This also has a backrest. This also has a seat. But what is so innovating about this? It is a folding chair. Therefore, every time you come up with new innovations on a chair, you can get, because it's a problem solution approach. Remember, what did I say here? What was the problem? It was taking too much space. I need a folding chair. And therefore, you came up with a folding chair. Next, this is a chair with four legs, but it has a better a back rest. I have a chair without arms and just a back rest so that I can stack one over the other. The seventh one is with wheels. Everybody knows about wheels. And therefore, combining wheels with a chair is also an innovation. Or I have one with a slightly different angle of keeping my armrest. That's also an innovation. So remember, my dear friends and students and teachers, that even though there's something come in the market, you can always innovate to come up with newer ideas. I just said about these inventions, correct? Wheel, a chair with wheels, right? Now, people knew about wheels much before. Everybody, but the application of a wheel is very important. We've learned in school, and everybody has taught that the humans, learned a lot because of the wheel. Because it started, wheels could do, you could move things, you could do it. But even today, wheels have a value. What do I say that? 20 years back, we used to carry our suitcase. You people are very young students, but people like me, we had to carry our luggage. Wheels was known before, luggage was known. But nobody had the idea of putting wheels for a luggage or a baggage. Suitcase did not have wheels. And I remember traveling about 20 years back and carrying the luggage, you needed a coolie and so on. So remember, the application of a wheel is also a patent. You're not claiming for the wheel, but you're claiming for a luggage with a wheel. Because I was the first one to identify, oh, why don't I put wheels, small wheels on a luggage, because it's very easy to carry. And it didn't strike anyone. Wheels were known, luggages were known, suitcase was known, but the idea of putting a wheel to a suitcase was a completely new idea. The person who made it first, he went to everybody and said, please take this idea, it's very good. Nobody would buy it. And finally, somebody came up and said, oh, I will buy that idea. I will do it. And today, every suitcase comes with a wheel, including sometimes your computer bags have wheels. Anything you want to move have wheels. Chairs have wheels. So the application wheels are known, but how do I apply this innovation of wheel onto something is where you have to innovate and use your intellectual property. So a wheel, it is an axle, it is a rim, it is this. But to put a wheel on a road roller, JCB has wheels to do so many things, wheels in axles, wheels in gears, wheels are everywhere, right? So the use of the wheels in an application is where it lies your intellectual wealth. Wheels is needed in pottery. So remember, my dear friends, that wheel is very well known, but a wheel on a suitcase, a wheel on a road roller, a wheel on a pottery wheel are all innovations. How you use it and apply it is where your intellectual property comes. I will stop at this and ask, I will stop sharing. Pulkit, would you like to do the next part? And then I will take for these non-patentable inventions.
Sure, ma'am.
Yeah. Pulkit will do, and then I will come back again if the time permits. But basically, we can have a 5-10 minutes. Anybody has questions before we start the prior art search, or do we do questions at the end, Vishnu Priya?
Ma'am, there is a basic question here in the chat section. I think this we can take it now and then open it up for Q&A at the end of the session as well. So the question
Yes.
is, what is the difference between a patent and a copyright?
Yeah, as I told you, yeah. So let me just I know the question that asked lots. So a copyright is for an expression of an idea, correct? Let me take software. You come with software coding, correct? Software coding, what you write your code is a copyright. But the software to do something in a mobile phone. So when I change my phone, the whole thing moves, correct? Orientation. The orientation of the image, when I move from here to here, the orientation changes. So the software is for the orientation. So the software gets integrated into the mobile phone, and that method of doing that orientation, that software as an innovation is an invention, but the coding of what I write is a copyright. So let me tell you books, correct? As I told you, Harry Potter book. The right expression of an idea, that's only a book, that's a copyright. But an innovation has to have a product or a process. Like I told you, lactobacillus to make yogurt or wheels to be put into suitcases. These are not, these are innovations. However, when I come up with that can also be copyrighted if there's a design and there is this thing, wheels and so on, it can also be copyrighted. Means the idea in the form of figure or design, expression of an idea, the way I write, somebody who's a poet, somebody who is artist, somebody who can, even as I told you, for the design, but it can also have some copyright depending on where my GUIs are, how it is done, can also be copyright. So copyright is an expression of an idea, but innovation is trying to find a problem to that solution, and the only idea cannot be patented. Idea can get copyrighted, but idea has to come up with a product or a process to do something which has to be industrially applicable. So that is the difference between inventions, patent inventions, and copyright. Any other questions, dear? Pulkit, you would like to add something to that?
Ma'am, I think you've covered it quite comprehensively.
Yeah.
And I can understand it's a question that I think comes up very
Yeah.
often because the, for people who are not in the field of intellectual property, they do have this confusion of what's the difference between a trademark and a patent and a copyright. And also because if you look at popular culture, these terms are used very loosely. And so I can understand why this
Yeah.
question.
There is a question on electronics product be a patent. Yes, but every time you remember, when I showed you this phone, it will have thousands of patents in it. Huh? The chips, the software, how this phone will interact with the tower, how it will interact. Basically, how do you messaging? How, as I told you, orientation change. Hundreds of softwares are there. So you can get one for the design, but as I told you, when I come with a GUI or something, I can this whole thing can also be copyrighted. Okay, remember this. There are several inventions in this phone. The way the camera is, the way it does, what does a camera do, how does it click, all these. So electronics product also can get a patent, but you will think of it as a chip depending on what it is, and you will say that same electronics product can be used in a car, it can be used in a phone, it can be used in a refrigerator. or it can be sometimes used in a AC, like sensors. Today, sitting at my home, I can put on remotes. I can put on the AC. I can put off the AC from the phone. So, definitely electronics can be. The only issue is software. Software will get copyright because that's an expression how you put the coding. But the software to do a technical work or having a technical effect will be covered under a patent. Are we clear? Um, there is a question how this workshop is useful for educators and facilitators. You want me to answer that, Vishnupriya?
Or I can also pitch in, ma'am, and then I'll
Why
let you
don't you pitch
continue.
in? You
Yeah.
pitch in and then I'll continue.
Yeah, definitely, ma'am. So the purpose of this workshop is like, as you know, all the students create a lot of innovations in the program, the challenges that we have. For instance, the ATL marathon, the community challenge. So the students work on a lot of projects and they come up with innovations, right? So during this process, when you come up with a novel idea, with a novel innovation, that you can further refine through our social our student entrepreneurship programs, student innovator programs, student internship program, etc. The ultimate goal here is to create a product which actually solves for a community problem, right? So how can you refine that project and actually come up with a MVP? So when you do that, you should also make sure that your IP is protected, because if your intellectual property is not protected, then anyone else can copy that. So this is a very important IPR is a very important topic for students and teachers, because this is going to help you to protect your intellectual property as the students go on to establish their own startups and establish their own products into the market in the future.
Yeah. So I'll just continue this further. You know, if you look at sometimes innovators, let's take Google. Today, Google CEO is Sundar Pichai. He's from IIT Kharagpur. These were two students, Larry Page and Serin. They were two students and they didn't finish their college. But they got a very good idea of how to put it together and the whole thing came up Google. And today, Google is a huge company, correct? It was started by students. Today, if you look at Ola, you look at these Bansans who've done Flipkart and others. They've come out of imagination, out of students when they were in IITs. They come today's students. Even in if you look at some of today Time magazine few weeks back, I put one girl, Miss Rao, who was known as the best innovator. She's still a school student, and she got the best innovator award, and her photo came on the Time page as the best innovator because she was trying to find out whether there's lead in water. And what we want to do is we are innovating, but we are not protecting our innovations. Japan, China were not innovators. They became innovators. And when you get innovators, you can get a better value for your product. You can get a more premium for the product than not having intellectual property or patents. So, patenting, we all patent. We always think, oh, let us give it for free. You may give it for free, but you must understand. Let's look at Facebook. Facebook, he was a student. He didn't finish his college, but he came up with this great idea. And now Facebook was born. I can give you several examples. Even Bill Gates, he didn't finish college because he was so interested in coming up with new ideas. And therefore, it's also true in life sciences, it may be more difficult. But if you look at the software industry, you look at some of the other products that can be done, a lawnmower. Students can come up with very good ideas. Student can come up with ideas of how to test water today, how to test air purifiers. They can come up with new types. You can come up with new water purifiers, which will give value to you. The value of Google, Facebook, Amazon, patent, or in Microsoft is the value of their patent. That patent has given them a premium value to it. And that is why we need this culture of trying to protect our innovation. And that is why the government of India under DIPP said startups should be able to get their protection very quickly, and there's an expedited examination, and they can get their patents in less than a year or less than 2 years, because patent is their wealth. For most of the startups, it's a patent that is sold and they make money, because to commercialize it will take a long time, and they can go to big industries and commercialize it. So people are serial entrepreneurs. They will come up with innovations, come up with patent and sell it off. And therefore, this is intellectual wealth. And it's very important that we as educators and facilitators inform our students that Indians are very creative, but we don't know how to protect our innovations. And I would ask people to go and look. There's a honeybee type of this done by Anil Gupta. There's small innovations are also there. People don't go and apply for a patent. And it's important for us that we go and innovate and also protect it by a patent to get wealth, to commercialize it. Okay, dear. I will leave it to any other questions, or we can start the next part.
I think we can start the next part, ma'am, and then we can take the rest of the questions at the end.
And there's a question, can the patent be given by Indian government? Will it be valid throughout the world? I just want to inform here, as I told you, a patent is a legal instrument. If you apply for a patent in India, the Indian Patent Office can grant a patent if it is novel, inventive, and industrially applicable. You cannot get a worldwide patent because PCT is there, WIPO is there, you apply there, it gives you time to go to other countries. Because it's a legal method or a legal instrument, you will get protection. If you apply for patent in India, you will get protection only in India. Somebody has said a student has prepared a switch which can operate through phone and it will come under Bluetooth. It can operate 8 gadgets. It is a fantastic innovation. Don't put it up on this. And you all can talk to us. Pulkit is a very good engineer. These are students are innovating. And I feel that every time by class 9, we need to have one or semester or one full sessions on what is patenting and how to be protective. Okay, how to find my new product is novel and get copyright and patent rights on my own model. And that is what Pulkit is going to do it. And we will help you all out on how to do searches, how to know whether your innovations are novel, how to do whether you can get a copyright. Every time you come up with a manual, remember it's copyrighted. Every time you write a story, it is copyrighted. Every time you come up with a new poem, it is copyrighted. You can get a copyright for it. Okay. So now I will hand over the mic to Pulkit Dogar, who will do the next part on patent searches. Thank you, everyone. I'm here and I will take questions in the latter half again.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Pulkit. I have an experience of over 12 years in the field of intellectual property. And I work in the field of patents as well as trademarks. And today I'm going to be talking about searching for prior arts in patent databases. I am going to be talking about free databases so that, because we understand that this is targeted towards students, and therefore they would they would have an easy access to free databases, obviously. So I'm going to be talking about 3 databases which can be used for searching published patents, right? Very quickly, let me just share my screen. Let me know when my screen is visible, please.
Yeah, we can
Pulkit,
see your
we
screen.
can see your screen.
Yeah.
You can, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I am going to be talking about prior art searches, strategies, and tips. Now, if you look at, so first of all, let me break down the term prior art for you. As Dr. Malti earlier explained, that when you talk about patents, one of the requirements, or at least not one, but there are two requirements, very important requirements for somebody to get a patent granted. These two requirements are of novelty and of inventiveness. Now, when you talk about novelty or inventiveness, this assessment of an invention, of whether it is novel and whether it is inventive or not, is not done in absolute terms, but these are done in relative terms and relative to what is already published. So any publication made anywhere around the world can act as something known as prior art. And as the name, as the term itself suggests, this is an art which is published prior to your invention, right? That is why it's called a prior art. And the searches that we conduct for finding such prior art references is called a prior art search. So I'm going to be talking about strategies and tips on how to search for prior art references on databases. Now, before I go to patent searching, let me just quickly take you through the anatomy of how a patent document looks. Now, this the document, the slide that you see on my screen, it's actually a published document which was filed at the WIPO, which is the World Intellectual Property Organization. You can see it here, and it was published under the Patent Cooperation Treaty, or PCT. Now, if you look at this page is known as the bibliographic page of the patent document. It has the publication number. Every patent that is published is actually published with a publication number, so that it acts as a reference for somebody to be able to search this document on various databases using this publication number. There is a publication date associated with it, right? It shows that on this date, this document was actually published, and this actually acts as a very important yardstick for determining whether your invention is novel or not with reference to this patent, right? Because if this document is published before the date of your invention, then this can act as a relevant prior art for your invention and can be used for assessing or for destroying, in fact, the novelty and the inventiveness of your invention, right? So this date of publication becomes a very important parameter that has to be kept in mind when you're doing a prior art search. Then there is this field of international patent classification. Now, there are two classification systems. One's known as the IPC, which is the International Patent Classification System, and then there is the CPC, which is the Classic Patent Classification System. We focus more on the IPC classes because this is used across the world, whereas the CPC is particularly used by the United States Patent and Trademark Office. And you look that this international patent classification has certain codes, B62J, 6/04, B62M, 6/65. So these patent classification codes actually, if you do an online search, you will find that this international patent classification code actually takes to you a category of inventions. So every patent and every invention contained in that patent is classified as per the international patent classification. So when you see there are four different classifications given on this patent, which means that the invention which is covered in this patent, it actually falls in the categories of these four different classifications. That does not mean that there are four different inventions. It just means that it's the same invention. For example, if you talk about a an electric vehicle, right? An electric vehicle, or let me take an even better example. If you talk about a an autonomous vehicle or a self-driving vehicle, it will fall under different categories. It will also fall in the category of mechanical engineering. It will also fall in the category of automobile engineering. It will fall in the category of telecommunication engineering, sensor technology. So there are multiple technologies that come together in a single invention sometimes, especially today, in today's day and age, where you see that most of the products that we are seeing, they are actually a confluence of multiple technologies. For example, Internet of Things, or as I said, self-driving cars. These are actually a confluence of multiple technologies. So the patent classification system attempts to categorize this invention into different categories that it might fall in, right? Then there is the international application number. The international application number is an application number which is allocated by the patent office, the relevant patent office. So, for example, this application was filed at the World Intellectual Property Office. So, this application number was allocated by WIPO. If you file the patent application in India, you will find that the application number is allocated by the Indian Patent Office, and similarly, if it is filed in Europe, the European Patent Office issues the patent application number. If it's in US, and so on, right? Then the international filing date. The international filing date actually refers to the date of filing this international application at the World Intellectual Property Office. The filing language of this document is English, and it has also been published in English, as these fields denote. And there is also something known as priority data. It's a little The concept of priority is a little technical, but I'll try and simplify it as much as I can. Um, the, the patent systems across the world, they tie together different countries by way of different patent accords. For example, one of them is the Patent Cooperation Treaty. There is another one known as the Paris Convention, and these different accords, different treaties, they tie different countries together, and they allow a smooth operation for patent grant between these countries. So what the concept of priority means is that once an inventor, an innovator, has come up with an invention on a certain date, that date becomes the date of his invention, right? And the date of invention, as Dr. Malati also impressed upon, the date of the invention is very important for determining whether your invention is new or not, right? So that date of invention becomes a constant across different countries, even when you talk about patent rights being territorial or specific to each country, right? So if there is an innovator in India who wants to, who's come up with an invention and wants to secure patent rights in, let's say, US, Europe, and Japan, he will have to separately file patent applications in Europe, US, and Japan to separately secure patent rights. Just filing in India will not secure the rights in US, Europe, and Japan. But these patent treaties like PCT and the Paris Convention allow that inventor to use the date of the invention as a constant whether you file it in India or US or Japan or Europe, right? So the date of invention remains constant, which means the assessment of novelty or inventiveness of your invention is done on the basis of your date of invention, that was the original date of the invention. If you did not, let's say, let's assume, let's take a scenario where an inventor did not take the advantage of the patent cooperation treaty or the Paris convention and separately went and filed the patent application in different countries, then each country would assess or would acknowledge that the date of the invention is the date on which the patent application has been actually filed in that country. So if an inventor in India came up with an invention today, but filed without going through the PCT or the Paris Convention route and filed in US or Europe a month later, the date of invention would shift to a month later. And any publication that might have happened in this 1 month, that can be detrimental to their rights in US and Europe, but it will not affect the rights in India. I'm not sure if I'm making sense. Please stop me if you have any questions. All right, I think there are no questions, so I will continue. Uh, uh, so Further, the information that the bibliographic page bears is the applicant name. So if you see, this patent was filed by the Harley Davidson Motor Company. The inventors have been mentioned here under column 72. The agent is the representative firm that had filed this application on behalf of the applicant before the World Intellectual Property Organization. And these are designated states. Now, like Dr. Malti explained, there is no international patent, right? This patent application that has been filed at WIPO only acts as a placeholder from where you can, file the patent application and attempt to secure patent rights in different countries. So these are the different countries in which the rights can be secured. The other information that this bibliographic page holds is the title. This invention is actually related to an electric bicycle and a representative figure of the invention and an abstract. Now, this abstract is information which gives you a summary of what the invention is about, and it can actually act as an instrument for somebody to be able to search for this patent when they are doing a search on the database. I will come to that because this field, the abstract field, can be one of the fields that can be selected when you're doing a patent search, and you can look for terms in the abstract to find a certain invention. So for example, if you're looking for an electric bicycle, of course the title here is electric bicycle itself, but let's say that you're looking for for something more specific. For example, let's see here, it says that the bicycle includes a lighting system, right? So the lighting system does not feature in the title. So when I'm searching for a bicycle with a lighting system, I will have to go into the specifics of doing the search either in the abstract or in all text fields, which means the entire specification of the patent to search for a bicycle having a lighting system. Now, when we talk about patent searching, there can be multiple strategies depending on what is the requirement of doing the patent search, right? The first strategy can be that you have uh, that you cast a very wide net. So for example, if you're looking for an electric bicycle with a lighting system, but it also uses a lithium ion battery, and it is capable of, um, um, let's say it also has an anti-lock braking system. Now I can cast a very wide web, saying that I am just looking for all kinds of electric bicycles. Whether or not they have these features or not, I will do that analysis at a later stage. So that is the first kind of strategy, where you pull up all kinds of results, you cast a very wide net. The second is that you pull a manageable number of results, which means that you have a very focused approach towards performing the search. And uh, again, for in both these strategies, there can be different reasons for performing these strategies. I will not go into the details, because these might get a little technical. But there are certain cases in which you would absolutely not want to miss any relevant search result. For example, there's something known as a freedom to operate analysis, and in a freedom to operate analysis, it can be really detrimental to the applicant, or for your client, if you miss even a single result which could be relevant in nature. Uh, and for doing another kind of search, which is a patentability search, which we perform before we are filing a patent application. In that case also, it can be very important to find all the relevant results which can be related to the invention. So uh, again, for different types, for different situations, you might need different strategies depending on what is it that you're looking for. uh, I think I've already spoken about this, but what essentially the second strategy means is that you start with a certain search criteria, which could be broad, and then you keep filtering your results so that you come to a narrower set of results which are more manageable in nature. But that also means that you make sure that you're not missing anything that is relevant. I am going to in my demo, I am going to take an example where we are going to start with a broad search, and then we are going to keep narrowing the search results down by adding some filters, and you will be able to see how you can start with a broad criteria, and then you can keep narrowing it down by applying filters. Uh, these are the important steps that one must perform before you're going for a prior art search. Most importantly, you have to understand what the invention is. What is it that you're essentially searching for? So, for example, one of the somebody in the uh, messaging window had actually mentioned about one of the inventions relating to Bluetooth technology, and how it works when it comes in the proximity of a switch, and it can be used for activating multiple gadgets. So you have to understand what the invention is, what are the different components of the invention. Uh, there can be certain components which are absolutely essential for the invention. There can be other components which might not be essential. For example, in this case, a Bluetooth device may be essential, but let's say a screen on the device may not be as essential as the Bluetooth, uh, or a speaker may not be as essential as the Bluetooth device on the phone, right? So understanding the invention becomes the first and foremost and the most important part of performing a search. Then, as I said, mostly the searches are conducted on the basis of the words, the text that is contained in the patent, and therefore it is very important that we choose the keywords that we are going to use in our search criteria. They have to be chosen very carefully. Now, if you look at a patent document, like Dr. Malti also explained, this document is actually a legal document, and so if you look at a patent document, it might not have language that is straightforward. So I took an example where it was the patent title was electric bicycle, but when you look at the description of that invention in the patent, you will find that it is not straightforward English that you would find in books. This document being technical and legal in nature, there is certain language that patent people who draft patent applications, they use a certain kind of language so that they can seek the highest amount of protection for their clients, for the applicant, for the inventors. And so when you're choosing keywords, you have to keep this also in mind, that the person who has drafted the patent and the text of the patent may use a certain kind of language, and accordingly you will have to choose the keywords on that basis. So for example, let me take a very simple example. uh, let's say that somebody actually came up with a self-driving car, right? The invention is a self-driving car, but in the description or in the title they might use the term autonomous or automatic or self-driving. And in addition, for the car, they might use the term vehicle or automobile or um, a two-wheeler or a four-wheeler. So there are multiple possibilities, different permutations and combinations of keywords that somebody might have used for describing the same invention in different patent applications. So somebody who drafted a patent for Google's autonomous car or a self-driving car might use a certain kind of language, and the person who drafted the patent for Ford or for Nissan or for Porsche might use completely different language, even though they all might relate to the same invention. So just to make sure that when you're doing the search, you cover all these different possibilities, you have to make sure that you choose the correct keywords, right? So the next step is actually about that. When you've made sure that these are the possible keywords that you will require for finding an invention, then you start finding the synonyms for those words. For example, as I explained, I'm not sure what do I do with this request. Hello.
Go ahead.
Vishnupriya, I am getting a request of annotation.
What is it?
Some annotation requests from some S.
On WebEx.
Madhusudan Rao.
No, no, you
Should I
go ahead.
approve
Na?
that?
No, you can continue, Pulkit. I think.
Continue and make it
Huh,
full screen, Pulkit.
yeah.
Yes, yes. Okay.
Don't worry. Make it full screen.
Right.
We'll take
So
the questions later.
okay. So as I was saying, that once you've chosen the keywords, then you have to find synonyms. As I explained, for the term self-driving, somebody might use the term automatic or autonomous. And so these are the synonyms that you have to find. And then you have to formulate a key string. Now, this key string is actually, as the name suggests, it's a string of words that you put together, and you use certain operators along with the key strings to find certain, to create a searchable query. I might have used a more technical term that I wanted to, but I think when I show you the demo, I think this is going to become clearer. I think my voice is not clear to some. Vishnupriya, Dr. Malti, can you hear me clearly?
We can hear you clearly.
Okay. It seems that
Vishnupriya, can you hear him? I think we can hear
Your
you.
voice is
Go
clear,
ahead.
Pulkit.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
we can hear.
okay. I just got a message. I think somebody else might be having some internet issues, and that is why they're not able to hear me clearly.
Maybe, sir, some internet issue.
You can go ahead, Mr. Pulkit.
Pulkit, go
Okay.
ahead. Can't hear you
Right.
now.
So
Okay,
these are
sir.
tips
Otherwise,
again, as I
everything
said.
is okay.
Pardon?
Okay. So I will proceed. So as I said, these are the tips. So you first find keywords A, B, and C can be your keywords, right? Then you find the synonyms for A, you find the synonyms for B, and then you find the synonyms for C, and then you create a search string. Now, when you talk about keywords, as I said, that there can be certain features of the invention which can be essential, and there can be certain features of the invention which are not essential. So you have to, when you're searching, when you're looking for keywords which you want to use for creating your search criteria, you have to make sure that you do not put non-essential features, because that could give you, uh, first of all, that could give you a narrower set of results, which uh, it might not be something that you want. Uh, by that, by putting that non-essential feature, sometime uh, you might get a narrower set of search results, and you might miss some search results which had all the essential keywords, but did not have that non-essential keyword, and so you might miss some results which might be relevant at the end of the day, and you might not want to miss that. So categorizing your keywords into essential and non-essential becomes very important when you're doing a prior art search. As I said, when you're creating the search string, you can use multiple operators, and to specify your search criteria. So the first Boolean operator is the AND operator. So here we've taken an example that you're looking for a vehicle which has a sensor. So you use the Boolean operator AND, right? And when you search with this search criteria, vehicle, and this database is going to look for all those documents which has the term vehicle as well as sensor. So it is not going to give you results which only contains the term vehicle or only contains the term sensor, right? This is in distinction to the term or, because if I use the term vehicle or car, it will give you documents containing either both the terms individually or both the terms together. So if I used vehicle and, instead of vehicle and sensor, if I use the Boolean operator or, it would actually give me this set just containing vehicles, this set just containing the term sensor, and the set containing the term vehicle as well as the term sensor, right? Whereas when I use and, it will only give me this narrow set of search results which include both the terms vehicle and sensor. So these are the two basic Boolean operators, and or. Then this is not something that is very widely used, but there is another Boolean operator in which you are trying to look for certain category of documents which may not contain certain words. For example, as it says here, you're looking for all the documents containing the term vehicle, but you do not want the documents which contain the term bus. So you use the Boolean operator vehicle not bus. It will give you all the search results which contain the term vehicle but not the term bus. Then there is the XOR operator, which is actually an either. It'll give you results which have either of the terms but not both the terms. So if I use the search string vehicles or bus, it would give me all the documents which contain the term vehicle, or the term bus, but not any document which contains both the words, right? Then, other than the Boolean operators, you have proximity operators, and these proximity operators can actually be very important in certain cases. As I explained, not every person who's drafting the patent specification is going to use the same kind of language in their patent specification. Everybody has their own style of drafting. For example, somebody might the document that I showed, it said it's an electrical bicycle, right? Somebody might call it an electric two-wheeler. Somebody might call it a cycle which is electrical. Somebody might call it a two-wheeler having two wheels. Sorry, an electrical vehicle having two wheels. So there are these many multiple ways of writing the same thing, and that is where these proximity operators as well as the Boolean operators help. So these proximity operators are ADJ, which is adjacent, right? The adjacent operator is used when you're looking for two terms which are close to each other, but they are in a certain order. So, for example, if I said electrical ADJ bicycle, it will always look for terms for documents which have the term electrical specified before the term bicycle in the documents. So if there is a document which says a bicycle which is electrical in nature, if you are using the adjacent proximity operator, it will not give you that result. It will only give you the results where the term bicycle comes after the term electrical. And the ADJN is specifically used where you are looking for terms which are within a certain distance from one term. So, for example, if somebody has come up with a four-stroke engine, you know that the term four and engine is going to be not farther than say three words from each other. So you can use ADJ, ADJ3 and use the term four and engine on either side of this proximity operator and then perform a search on that basis. Then you have the near proximity operator. The near proximity operator is uh, distinct from the adjacent proximity operator because it will look for terms in any order. So if you use the near operator with electrical and bicycle, it would give you all the search results which use the term electrical and bicycle in any order. So that means if somebody had written a bicycle of electrical nature or an electric bicycle, these both search results would be returned by using the near proximity operator. And just like the adjacent n operator, you have the near n operator where you can specify the number of words within which you would like these terms to feature. Then you have the with proximity operator, which looks for the words which are connected by the with operator in the same sentence. And you have the same operator, which looks for the terms in the same paragraph, uh, which are connected by the same proximity operator. Then there are certain special operators. These are also known as wildcard operators, and these are specially used in cases uh, where the term um, the same multiple forms of the same term may be used. For example, if you talk about a magnifying lens, it can somebody might call it a device for magnification. Somebody might call it an apparatus to magnify. Somebody might call it a magnifying lens. So the terms magnification, magnify, and magnifying all have been used for the same thing. So you can use the term the asterisk operator with the term magnif magnif with an asterisk, and so all forms of this word will be searched for. So if you have magnifying, magnification, magnificent also maybe in this case, or maybe not. I might be missing the spelling in the two cases, but I think you understand the logic behind using the asterisk operator. And when you use the asterisk operator with an n, it will look for only that number of characters replaceable by the asterisk sign. So if you're using magnif asterisk 3, it will or 4, it will return the results for magnifying but not for magnify or magnification, right? And then you also have the question mark operator, and this is used for like the example shows. Is my voice audible clearly? Because I just got another
Yes, it's
message that
totally
my
audible.
Yes, sir.
okay. Okay.
It is good. Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes.
So the question mark operator is used where you have different, it is used for replacing a single character, first of all. So as the example shows, there are multiple spellings of the word tire based on the US usage and the British usage of the term. So you can search for the term tire, whether it's spelled as TIRE or TYRE by replacing the second letter in the word by question mark. So it will return all the search results which use either of the spelling in their text, right? um, Again, these are tips to make sure that your results are not haywire. You do not go off onto a different tangent. So use filters to refine your search, and avoid usage of redundant terms over and over again, so that your search results are they are useful at the end of the day. With that, what I would like to do now is that I would like to show you some patent databases, free patent databases. So the first of them is Google Patents. I'm also going to show a demo, but very quickly I'll just show you what are the different fields here. So the Google Patents search database allows you for looking for patents around the world. So here, where it says patent office, there's a drop down. You know what? I think what I will do is that I will perform a demo. I think doing the demo is going to be easier and more interactive for everybody to be able to understand that how these patent databases can how they can be how a search can be done on these patent databases. So if it's okay, Vishnupriya, can I do the demo now?
Yes, Pulkit, let's go ahead.
Okay. So, so first of all, I'll show you the Google Patent Database. It's probably one of the easier ones to use. You have to type in the URL in the URL. I am again getting messages that my sound is very low. I'm not sure if that is an issue at my end.
It's low, sir, but it's audible.
Okay. Let me, I'll try and speak closer to the microphone. So in the URL, you type the URL patents.google.com and you press enter, and it takes you to the Google Patents database search window. And here, this is uh, a simple search interface, right? In this tab, you can start typing either keywords, or you can start typing either the document number that you're looking for. So, for example, we looked at this patent document, right? It had this WIPO publication number. So let's try and search for this. The WIPO number is WO2021009681A1, right? Let's try and search for this document here. let's see if we find it or not. So I start typing WO 2021 Did I miss something? 2021 right? So here it has actually, I have been able to search for that document. From here you can download the PDF. Since this is a WIPO document, the Google Patent search does not show the images. But if you look at, so here it also shows the other related applications. So you see that there is another US application which is related to this same WIPO application. So if I click on the US application, it takes me to the US, the corresponding US application, the US counterpart of the same application which was filed by the same applicant in US. And it also shows me the various images which are part of uh, the patent drawings, right? And if I let me download the WIPO document and just quickly show you how it looks. So these are the this is the patent specification, the whole text document, and these are the drawings, which are again visible here. Right. So this is the simple search interface of Google Patents. Now, if you look at the bottom of this page, there is also a possibility to do an advanced search. Now, this is the advanced search interface of the Google Patent Database. Here you can provide different synonyms. So, for example, you can say electric bicycle here. You can put the assignee as Harley Davidson, and it will also give you, it will start giving you suggestions on what is it that you would like to use. So let's say I chose Harley Davidson Motor Company and I selected the patent office. You can select the patent office from here. There's WIPO, US, Europe, Japan, Korea, China, various patent offices around the world, uh, for where you can perform the search, right? And the different other search fields that are available here are inventor names. You can select the date of priority, or the date of filing, or the date of publication. And you can select the language in which this was published, the document was published, whether it has been granted a patent or it is still in application stage. Is it a design patent or a utility patent? Dr. Malti already touched upon these two. I'll not go into litigation because you might not, might not be relevant for performing a general patentability search. But when I do perform this search, it gives me all these search results. So you see there are 82 search results with the applicant Harley Davidson Motor Company, which use the term electric and bicycle. And if you see Google, the Google database is actually an intelligent database, so it automatically starts picking synonyms. So if you see, it's picked the term electronic and electrical automatically. And for the term bicycle, it's automatically picked the term bike, right? So that is why I said that Google is actually one of the easier databases to use, because it's an intelligent database. When you start using terms, it automatically returns results for the synonyms also, right? So this is the Google database. I will now show you the second database, which is the patent scope database, which is managed and handled by the World Intellectual Property Office, and the URL for that is patentscope.wipo.int, and when you hit enter, it automatically takes you to the search interface. Again, here you can perform a simple search. From here, you can select the fields. You can search for the terms on the front page, which is the bibliographic page. You can search for terms in any field. You can search for the terms in full text, that is the entire text, including the first page, the description, the claims, the abstract. All the text in the patent specification can be searched for using this uh, by selecting the full text option. Then you can do a search on the basis of the number, which is the publication number or the patent number. You can do a search on the basis of the IPC, the international classification. So if I was to put, if I was to include B62F here, it would definitely return me the patent that we had looked at. Obviously, it would also return thousands of other documents also, which use the same international or which are classified under the same international classification. You can perform a search using the names. You can use this for applicant names or for inventor names, and then you can use the date of publication as one of the search criteria. Now, this is the simple search interface. If you go to the search option here, you see in the drop down menu there is an option to do perform an advanced search, right? Now in the advanced search window, what you can do is that you can create a search query using all the Boolean operators, and it will give you certain results. So let me just very quickly do a search, show you how Boolean operators are used and how we can use Boolean operators in different fields to perform a search and then keep adding filters and keep narrowing down your search results. So let's start with a simple example. Let's search for any patent which is titled or which is related to a digital camera, right? So I look for an English title. Now, see, this might look technical here, right? But as I showed in this simple search, this thing, you can go to the front page and you can just type, let's say, digital camera, and it will look for terms digital in camera used in the front page, right? But it has given me 59,258 results. Now, if I want to perform a better search, I would use slightly better operators and more specific fields. So I look for English in the title, right? Electronic or electronic. So I am looking for a camera which is either digital or electronic, and it uses the word camera or device or image near. So the term image capturing device or an image capturing apparatus is very uh, is often used for the term for cameras. So I am just trying to build a query where I can look for uh, all these kinds of results, which will give me which are either using the term camera or the term device or apparatus or an image capturing device. So somebody might call it an image capturer, somebody might call it a device for capturing images. So all of that will be covered by. So you see, I've also used the asterisk here because that will give me different variants of the term capture, CAPTUR. And I've used the uh, or operator for the different variants of or synonyms of the term camera that might be used in different documents, and for the term digital, which might also be called electronic. So this is a very simple query where I am looking for a digital camera for all documents which are related to or titled as a digital camera, right? So let's see what are the kind of results that we get from this. Okay, I have unclosed parenthesis. So it's given me 5,15,962 results for all documents which are using different combination of these words. Obviously, it is not possible for somebody to be able to look through 515, 506, 5.16 odd lakh odd results, right? So let's see how we can um, now narrow these results down. Let's look for uh, the applicant, either Canon or Nikon or Sony. So I'm looking for only cameras patents, patents which are related to digital cameras filed by Canon, Nikon, or Sony. So this has reduced the results from 5 lakhs to 31,000, right? But let's say I want to now make it even narrower. So let's see what are the most recent ones, right? So I am now limiting it by the date of publication. So I want to look at the most recent ones, the ones that have been published in 2021 only, right? So it's given me 277 results. So this set of results now shows me all the patents which are related to digital camera technology, which have been filed by either Canon or Sony or Nikon, and which have been published in the year 2021. So these 277 are the most recent patents which have been published on the digital camera technology, right? So this is how you can use these various Boolean operators and keep filtering your results based on different fields, based on different criteria, and bring it down to a more manageable number, and also bring it down on the basis of the specific, uh, the specifics of what your requirements are, what you're looking for, right? So this was the patent scope search database. The third one that I'm going to show you is the eSpaceNet. It's called the eSpaceNet database. It is again handled and managed by the European Patent Office, and the URL for that is worldwide.espacenet.com, and right. And so here it takes me to the interface for the search database. Here, this is the simple search database where I can again, I can just put digital camera here, and it will look for all documents which use the term digital camera in all the fields. So this has returned me actually 11 lakh results, right? Which is obviously not a manageable number. But this is for a simple search. Then you can use the advanced search tab. The advanced search tab will allow you to use different combinations of fields. So you can actually select from here.
Hey, we will have to stop, Pulkit, because
Okay.
we'll leave the last 5-7 minutes for this thing.
For questions, okay.
Yeah, for questions.
Okay,
So
so
you've done Google patent and you've done.
Sure, you were saying something, ma'am?
No, we were saying there's only 5 minutes left.
Oh, okay.
We could
So I'll
stop
stop here then.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll stop here then.
Yeah. If you want something from your slide set, if you want to show, you share that.
Actually, I've
Done everything.
almost everything. I think the patent scope database and the Google
Yes.
patent database are the two which are most widely used. So I've shown them. I can take any questions if there are any, or if there are any questions for Dr. Malti.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think teachers, if you have any questions, you can let us know. We will discuss that now.
I think there was one question that I was getting how was this possibly specifically the session on demo databases, how is that relevant for teachers?
See?
But I think uh, as earlier, I think there was one question, how is this session applicable for teachers in general? I think the role of the teachers is to be not just to be educators, but also to be facilitators for their students. To be able uh, kind of focus their energies on in the right direction. And I think when you're looking specifically to invest time and energy in intellectual property, um, do performing a relevant search, knowing what is out there, it becomes a very important part of doing that research, that background groundwork for building that uh, uh, intellectual property for yourself. So I think the uh, the significance of this session, and especially the demo of how to use databases, is I think, if I look at it from the point of view of how it could help students and any innovators who are coming up with these inventions, I think it's a very useful tool for students and teachers alike to be able to search for what already exists out there. If the invention that the student has come up with is it already exists, or if there are any related technology, it can be used for doing research as well. So I think it's a very useful tool for that for from that point of view. Ma'am, is there anything that you?
Yeah, there is one question. They've said that they've got a Android
Application, yeah.
application, and you should be able to get a patent as long as it's novel, inventive, and industrially applicable. Yeah, even if it is Android, it does not matter.
There is
Yes.
one more question. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Pulkit.
Yeah.
No. There's just earlier, Dr. Malti had also explained that in India, when you are applying for a patent for a software application, you just have to make sure that it is technical in nature. I am not going to go into the details of what a technical software application is, because that's a subject matter for another hour or couple of hours at the least. But there are certain riders. Again, it's not that you cannot patent an Android application or a software application, but it's just that you have to make sure that it is. There are certain criteria associated with the software applications that the invention must meet for it to be patented.
Yeah. So there was one question. What is the cost of getting a product patent?
Yeah, so it depends also on how large the application is. If it is a startup, the official fees are lower, but anything like 1 lakh or so, if it is a startup, it is much cheaper. There are some people who are also facilitators for patents for startups, and the cost will not be too much on that. But it's difficult to give a ballpark figure because it depends what the subject matter is, how much drafting to be done, and so on. But anything from 50,000 to 1 lakh, you can get a patent.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Any other questions? I think we are almost close to the end of the time we had for the session. If any questions, if you don't have any questions, then ma'am, okay, there is one question.
Ma'am,
Can
one
us?
minute. Ma'am,
Yeah.
1 minute. I want to ask. Ma'am, can we get this the bullet points of how to get this patenting? That then it will become easier for us because when we work in ATL with the small children, it becomes really very difficult to get things done in a proper way. And when we approach people from outside, then they charge very badly, which is like it's not favorable to ATL. So if we'll get something in bullet points, that will become very easy for us.
Sure. So, Rashmi ma'am, I think you can first look at the resources that we already have for ATL. And see, one important reason that we organize this session for teachers, again, addressing the question that was pointed earlier, is that through this session, you have a fair understanding or a basic understanding of how to go about the patenting process. So even to get to that decision, where should I file a patent for something, even to have that understanding that this is a novel, this is a new idea, you have to do certain homework, you have to do certain groundwork. So this session hopefully would help you in doing that. Once you know that your innovation is novel and it is, you can't find it in the existing public repositories that Mr. Pulkit had just walked us with. So then, you can go to the next step where you can actually file for a patent, reach out to the professionals and then do that.
All right. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you so.
People can also reach out to the patent office. They also have facilitators. People are there to help.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
There is one question, ma'am. Can a CAD model get a patent? So computer
CAD
aided
model,
design. Yeah.
a CAD model will be a copyright. I don't know how a CAD model will be a patent. I didn't understand too much about the CAD model. Can they
So
explain?
I think for these 3D printing
Yes.
things, like you develop a design, you have a computer aided design, design file basically, which
Yeah.
kind of shows the design in 3D. So I
Yeah.
think that is a
No, no,
question.
the CAD model for designing and all that we
Hmm.
have. The CAD model cannot be, you cannot get a patent for it because it has to be an innovation.
Hmm.
It has to be an invention which is useful and industrially applicable. If you have a CAD model, you can get it under a copyright. If you come up with a new design, you can get a copyright because it's your own expression of your idea. But CAD model cannot get a patent.
Sure. Thank you so much, ma'am. So, for all those who are asking about the recording, the recorded video, we will be sharing that as a learning resource. We will let you know the details separately in the email chain that has been started for this session. So, I will just request you to wait, and we will send that in the next couple of days. Any closing thoughts from you, Dr. Malti or Mr. Pulkit? I
No,
think, yeah, this
I
has been a
think
wonderful session.
it's been a wonderful session. Thanks everybody for patiently hearing. I know it's a very dry subject. It's not an easy subject. And if there was something that you couldn't understand, you can always contact us. But it's an important subject because when we are inventing or innovating, it is important to protect it by a patent or a trademark or a design, depending on.
Ma'am, you're on mute.
Yeah.
Ma'am, your audio is stopped
Audio
coming.
was muted.
Sorry. Yeah, but in this today's scenario, we can't do it maybe for quite some time, being one-to-one, face-to-face, but it's been great doing this by digital method. And I'd also like to thank my colleague, Pulkit Dogar, for doing an excellent talk on prior art search and the demo.
Thank you
Thank
so
you very
much,
much, ma'am.
Dr. Malti. Yes, some closing thoughts from you, Mr. Pulkit.
I think Dr. Modi covered most of it, but I would really like to thank everyone present here for taking time out on Sunday and spending time with us on this not very, I wouldn't say, as Dr. Malti said, that it's not a very interesting topic to start with, especially prior art searching. But once you start doing it, it becomes very quickly catches on. But I just would like to thank everyone for this opportunity and for everybody being very patient during this whole.
Thank you so much, Mr. Pulkit. And thank you, teachers, for joining us. We will share the learning resources with you in the next couple of days. So, thank you for joining and stay safe and please take all precautions and take care. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Vishnu Priya and
Thank you,
Niti
everyone.
Ayog, for asking us to talk on this subject.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.